Welcome to Vision Plus, a program featuring a positive outlook, dealing with everyday situations of marriage, children, and business. Believing Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. Teacher, author, speaker, delighting audiences from New York to Sacramento with a heart and message for the people today. Bonnie would like to remind you of the 800 number on the screen. Please feel free to call at any time throughout the broadcast and share your concerns. Leave your prayer request and someone will pray with you. And now, teacher, author, and speaker, Bonnie.
Hello and welcome. You're watching Vision Plus. You know the good book says, without a vision, the people perish. And we sometimes have to get a vision for what's going to happen in the next 2012 in this case, and how we're going to deal with all the things that are hitting us, the economic pressures that we're going through, wondering who's going to be the next president, wondering so many things. And we just have to know that it's all in the Lord's hands. You know, whatever things you desire when you pray, believe that you have them and you shall have them. And most of us are truly, and our guests specifically, trust in the Lord with all her heart. Lean not upon our own understanding. In all our ways acknowledge you. And we know you're directing our path. And I know it's no accident that Liz Hall and John Eubanks and Mrs. Eubanks, she brought me a gift. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I really appreciate it. It's got those lighthouses on it. You know how I love lighthouses. Well, we're just so happy that you joined us today. And if you know anyone that's a single mother or a single dad, the person that normally would be here to run camera, and today we have Ronnie Webb. Where are you from, Ronnie?
Kentucky.
In Kentucky. Do you live there in Kentucky now? He came down here to see us about, he's lost, how many pounds you lost?
120 pounds.
120 pounds. You're going to get to hear about that next. But now we're going to talk about, and staying, he not only lost it, when he walked in the house, I thought, gosh, sure looks familiar, but, and well, anytime you lose 120 pounds, you get 10 years younger and very handsome, and I'm telling you. So I wasn't sure. So Maurita and I hooked up again last night at a Facebook training session at the Holiday Inn. I tell you what, it was supposed to last 2 hours and it's 2 hours and 43 minutes. So I was ready to go. But anyway, we're glad you joined us, and maybe you can join us on Facebook too, if she ever teaches me how to do this, for sure.
We'll both be learning together.
Okay, that's good. Okay, we're talking with Maurita Hughs, who's a single parent, and we want to know how in the world can single parents make it today, and to live their Christian life, and also to make enough money for themselves, and how all of the things you have to have. If there's two people working in the family, a lot of families have two incomes today. Mm-hmm. Tell us about your Christian experience, where you grew up, and anything about your life.
Well, believe it or not, I am not from Huntsville, Alabama, but I am from Chicago. So I've got two accents going here. When I was in high school, my girlfriend asked me about, coming out to a youth group, Campus Life. And I did go, and I learned about Christ there and the scriptures and how to lead a good life, notice the difference between the bad kids and the right kids. And so, and it was fun activities. Good people can have fun.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
God knows I'm a jokester. So it's all pure fun, and you make people happy. You don't have to worry about backstabbing. In fact, some of my true friends, Steve, Corey, Corrine, a lot of my Chicago friends, Scott Ambrose, I just went and visited these people in Illinois this past year, or a week ago. So yeah, over the holiday, and they're just true friends. That love is still there, and it's amazing, and that's kind of like what gets you through life, that support from people, and
so then you found that man and married him? and had a child.
That man. After I went to school, after my dad says you got to have a career, so I got my LPN. I was living out by myself a little bit. I did get my LPN license, and then I met my ex-husband at Fort Sheridan, Illinois. We dated for about a year. You know, I'm thinking this is right. So we did get married, and during that time, we were both serving in the military. So he got mobilized, and I got mobilized, and
Well, you have to tell us. Now, though my husband was in the Marine Corps, I don't know what you mean by mobilized. You went.
mobilized. Okay, we both got activated for the war, Desert Storm.
Oh boy.
So 1990, 91 time frame. And so he was active duty, and he served overseas. When I got mobilized, I was in the Army Reserves. So they sent me to Texas, and back then the war started going good. It was
Was
one
your
of those
child
quick.
born yet?
No, he wasn't.
Oh, okay.
So we came back. Make a long story short, I moved us on to Fort Sheridan before I got mobilized, and he was already mobilized or on active duty. So I grew a lot during that time as far as becoming real independent, responsible, and I think it was about 25, 23, 23, 20, about 23. And no, it was 25. Oh, way back then. Let's see what.
She's only 29 now.
Thank you. When he came back, we kind of butted heads because I gained all that responsibility and that independence. So it was like, okay, so we went to counseling, you know, we tried to do the best to make our marriage work, and during that time, he had a permanent change in orders to go to Redstone, or Huntsville, Alabama. So we moved here in 1992, and we said, you know, we're going to try to make our marriage work, and during that time, I did get pregnant, and when I was 6 months pregnant, I noticed things weren't going that well. I was working full-time, he was working full-time. We were both going to school full-time. So we were both just trying to still build and enrich our lives on top of trying to enrich our lives together. And we were going to church. We were going to Grace Church on Triana. And but I noticed something was going wrong here. So to make a long story short, he asked me for a divorce, and I was floored and hurt and you name it, all the bad things that go with it. And
I went through that. In fact, he came to me and asked me for a divorce. My first husband, I married at 16, so, and I said, well, I didn't even know we were having trouble. This was 4 years later.
Yeah.
He said, well, Gwen, which was my friend, is pregnant. I said, we just had a baby a month ago. What about this baby? And he said, well, yeah, but I'm going to marry Gwen. So he just left. I had no control of it. So you got the divorce too. So I understand how you, it's just so, it hurts so much. It really hurt. Well, for me it was.
Oh, it
Because
hurt.
I was so unbelievably shocked.
Yeah.
I had no
and I was just like, okay, I you know, I tried to fix it right away. I said, you know, I don't care if you're seeing anybody. I don't care if whatever your decision is, I'm pregnant with your baby. We need to, this is for our family, and you know, I'm married to stay married, you know. Let's do something, let's fix it. And he goes, we've tried counseling, he just like gave up. But so you can't squeeze lemon out of a prune, or whatever that saying goes, you know.
That's a good one. I like that.
So I had no choice. I had to, yeah, that's true, you can't do that either. So I just had to go with the flow and stick up for myself and do what was right for me, even though I was still vulnerable at the time, because here I moved from Chicago, I'm here, I left my family there. I didn't know too many people. I knew a few people at the church.
In fact, Tony Rapucci came to your house. Tell us a little bit about that, because we've had him on the show, and a lot of people know him, of course. From, he was at Willowbrook at the time that I was there. He was actually my teacher. However, I understand he has home church now. I'm not sure about that, but that's what I heard.
Yeah, he, actually what happened was I stopped going to Grace because I felt weird just because my ex-husband had gone there. But people told me about Willowbrook, and I started going to Willowbrook, and they were very receptive, very loving, caring, and I just told them my situation. I had been going there for about a year or two, but I was still struggling financially. I only you know, when I divorced, I only had $2,000 to my name. So here I was only eating once or twice a day, trying to raise my infant son, and I couldn't put him in daycare till he was 6 months. So between that time of divorce and 6 months, I was working part-time, actually at the methadone clinic. But they
really need something.
But you know what? It was all I had, and these people were so loving. You know, I actually brought my son there and took care of him there, and you know, he slept. He was an infant, so
ended up working for $85 a week and had to pay $55 a week for daycare. So I moved to my brother's in New York and was in Dobbs Ferry, and I would have 2 days with 1 glass of milk. So I know.
So you know,
I wanted to make sure she was okay.
Exactly.
And so I kept working.
And actually, I was, like I said, I was going to school full time also at Calhoun. And I had to drop out of school after divorce. After 6 months, I realized I couldn't do it. I tried the online thing, but it was just too much. But I did start working after 6 months when my son was 6 months old. Praise God, I did get a job at Fox Army Health Center, temporary position, but I'm like, I have to make this work. So I worked hard.
You were one of those dedicated workers.
I was dedicated because I knew I had to, for my son and I to survive, I had to work hard, and I had to put forth the effort. You just can't sit, you know, at home and do nothing. So I became a hard worker. I must have worked every segment of that health facility. And, you know, of course I started from the bottom up.
So that's now like 17 years ago.
And yes. And during that time, I was working there, and I was going to Willowbrook. And that's when I got to know the Rapucci's really good, and everybody else in the class. And I was putting my best foot forward. My mom had passed away, and my dad had passed away before we divorced. So my parents weren't living, so I had other people that would adopt me. So that was great, just finding the caring people out there. There's really a lot of caring people out there.
There are.
And, you know, if you make your needs known, that was one of the things that probably pulled me through this time of being a single parent. So when I was going to church, I let them know. I go, hey, I'm struggling here. I want to get a house. You know, there was a person that was a realtor in the class, and he's like, okay, let me know what you want, and we'll help you out. So it just so happens my mom passed away. I got an inheritance, so I used that for a down payment for the house. And then once I got settled in, I was looking at empty rooms everywhere. It was just like, okay, now what do I do? And that was in December. I think I moved in October, but I was still struggling trying to, you know, get the bedroom ready, get this ready, take care of my son, and still go to work. And so
I know when people say, oh, I can't go to school and go to work, and I said I went to school, had 3 children, did a TV show, and also got my doctorate. And you know, of course, it took a long time to do all that, but it can be done.
It can
and
be.
And you are the person that did it for 17 plus years.
And and during that time too, I was still responsible to the military.
Was trying really hard to get your son.
He, during that time, he wasn't.
Okay.
When he tried to get my son is when I got mobilized. I got mobilized to Camp Shelby. I was on active duty for 1.5 years.
That's when he tried it.
Yes, in 2005. My son was older then, but my ex-husband was actually on active duty, and he, you know, he didn't try to get my son when I was going through the single parent thing, and because most people think the son is better with the mother. But he was living his life. He got remarried, and he had a son, and so he had his family there. But anyways, Christmas, my first Christmas in the house. The church was awesome. They brought me a live Christmas tree, and so I've still got pictures of that. It's very memorable. And you know, I thought, oh my gosh, these people are reaching out to me. It was just awesome.
I know they would change your oil in your car. And
oh yeah,
for
the single moms ministry at Willowbrook. They do that, and you know, like I said, it's just.
How did you keep your son during that time you were mobilized?
A very dear friends of mine, Jean and Rick Mulcahy, they, well, first it was Roxanne. Actually, I went through 2 phases there because it was a last minute thing, and I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I'm going out of town. I'm a single parent. I have nobody to watch my son. My parents are deceased. All the relatives are in Illinois, so it was just really hard. So I thought, well, I want what's best for my son. So I asked his best friend, actually, they'd hang out together. And I'm like, well, my son is comfortable with his best friend. He's comfortable going to school. There's no reason why I should pull him out. And Roxanne said she'd take care of the boys. So I did what it took to make sure they were taken care of. And that worked out for a while. And then my friend Roxanne got a job offer in another state, so she had to move. And during that time, my girlfriend Jean stood up with her husband to take care of my son.
You know what? This is a page turner. How much time do we have left?
Got about 12 minutes.
Oh, okay, we're all right, because I thought we were going to have to end this and do another show, but you got 12 minutes, so.
Oh, okay.
maybe make it 10, so.
Okay.
All right.
So my girlfriend Jean and Rick took care of him while I was active duty at Camp Shelby. And during that time, the war was going, Hurricane Katrina hit, I went through it all there. But I made it a point to make sure whenever I got any free time, any leave, I would come home and see my son at least once, if not every 2 months. And that kept our love going, and he knew who Mom was. And during that time, his dad only saw him twice. I said, if this is the time to see your son and be friends with him, this is it, because I'm not around. And that really hurt me, but then I'm just like, you can't control how other people feel or what their lives are doing or why they do the things they do. You just can control what you have control over, and I knew I had to control that relationship with my son. And I just had to show him that I loved him. And that things were going to work out. God has plans for us. We're going to learn from this. It's going to make us stronger. And so, let's see. I'm trying.
So you came back from Texas to here, or from where you've been?
Camp Shelby was the second mobilization. Okay. Oh yeah, no. Texas was the first one before I had my son. Yeah, I went through Hurricane Katrina and everything, and I was just like,
I helped in Hurricane Katrina, and I slept in bunks with 1,500 people. See?
Yeah. That was
men and women slept in the same place.
I'd say during that time was the only time I didn't go home to see my son, but actually
I didn't sleep with 1,500 men. I just mean they were all women and men were in the same place with the Seabees. I didn't want to make sure that you understood that it would be so hot out there that I would get underneath the trucks, the 18-wheelers, just to get cooled off a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Because it was really. But they'd come through and they'd say, "Well, how can we help you?" We gave food and clothing and water and everything to the people there, and they said that, well, there's 16 families living at my house, and you think, oh my goodness, I don't know if I could deal with 16 people,
Exactly.
But I remember one time it was so hot, and I only just had a pair of sunglasses, and this couple drove through getting water, and they gave me a pair of sunglasses. Oh.
It's the littlest things that count,
People are so sweet and kind. Yeah. And one time the truck driver actually had me come in the side of the truck and he turned the air conditioner on just because I was perspiring so hot. Wow. So Katrina, you felt sorry for all they were going through, but the people that helped, that volunteered, were going through a lot too.
And I was in charge of the troop medical clinic, so I had. Not only did I have my responsibilities as taking care of the soldiers, but then we had other people coming in to help. Yeah. So we had people coming in with injuries and we couldn't turn them away, so we had to kind of do the thin line with the paperwork and everything, try to figure out how we're going to do all that stuff. But everything worked out. It was a learning experience big time, and it, I think I had leave on the books finally after 2 weeks after the hurricane hit. Right. So I actually went home with it. I actually had gas in my car because I did fill up. I barely made it home. But Hattiesburg, all of Hattiesburg still did not have electricity. Yeah. And so I remember going to the commissary on the Arsenal, packing my car with meat and all these groceries, and I brought them back. So whoever had electricity, we were able to feed I was able to feed some of those and share some of the food that I had gotten the 2 days I had spent here. So
Now, where was your son at that time?
my son I was visiting him.
Okay.
And
he was here in Huntsville.
he was here in Huntsville with my friends Jean and Rick. And they took very good care of them. And during that time, that was when my ex-husband tried to get my son. And I had less than 6 months on the books to go before I finished my active duty, and I'm like, now you want him? I'm like, no. It wasn't because of the fact that I didn't want him and my son together. It was more the fact that you're going to be taking him out of an environment that he was just in for the past year. He's getting good grades. He's with his friends. By the time you uplift him out and only have him stay with you for 5 months, it's just not worth it. And then I think he had something else up his sleeve concerning the child support and stuff, but we're not going to go there. There was some other stuff in the picture of,
we're not paying you anymore.
exactly. Well, he said, you don't have to pay this. And I'm like, well, you could have come here to visit him, and I have not seen where you've tried to make an effort to come see your son here. So I thought, well.
No. So you made it as keeping a job and still supporting your son with your love and affection and coming, and then that 6 months later,
a lot of prayer,
and probably had all the prayer warriors going everywhere. And what about when you got back you came back here after you were out?
After
that 6 months was up.
I was in the Army Reserves for a while, and I decided it was time to retire. So I retired in 2007, and
remember, at the age of 29. Because you're only
29 one time, but it can last for 10 years.
Why not?
So after I retired, I was still working with my son through the high school years, and just trying to provide for him and learn about those phases that teenage boys go through. And I decided to get him 2 dogs, and just the little stuff to make it a happy home life. And I was actually working at the VA at that time. When I was away on active duty, I took military leave, and then when I came back, I started working at the VA in Huntsville. I worked there for about 4 years, and I decided to quit to go back to school to get my registered nurse, because that's...
And now you are a nurse.
Now I'm a registered nurse, and actually I'm still going to school to get my BSN, which I graduate in May, the same time my son graduates from high school. So I kind of planned that.
That's when Liz Hugh's daughter graduates from high school.
Yeah, we're trying to. I want May to be a great month,
It will be.
And during that time, I also had businesses on the side.
What kind of businesses?
Marketing, home-based businesses, because I realized back then it was a tax advantage. So every year I had something going. I've been in Mary Kay, Tupperware, Life Plus, you name it. But now I found the business that I really love. So, which is Visala Sciences. So that's what I'm currently working now. I've been in it for 4 months, and to go back to the school. I quit my job at the VA to go back to school to get my RN. I went and got my RN, and then I tried to get a job on the job market, and I could not get a job as an RN. They wanted RNs with experience, and so in fact half my classmates tried to get a job and they couldn't. So this place is just saturated with nurses, but now they're starting to open up. In fact, I'm going on a job interview tomorrow.
Wonderful. We'll say a little prayer for you that you get that job. So what I hear you saying, that if you're a single parent, you can make it, and it may not always be easy. I know when you were away from your son, that was not easy for you or for him. But you're back together again now. Of course, you're still looking for another job.
Oh, actually, that's just icing on the cake. I'm actually doing something part-time, but this is a new experience to enhance my life, and you got to take these experiences when they come your way.
Sure.
And so job after job, you try to learn something new, something that'll better yourself and help the people around you. And it's actually simpler, or for me, and the kind of work I want to go into.
That's good. The nursing.
Exactly.
Well, I always appreciate every time I had open heart surgery. My husband did, and the nurses were really the people you were in touch with. And that was so good to have that. What are your plans now? To apply for the nursing.
Right, apply for that job tomorrow.
I still continue your home-based business.
Yes, continue my home-based.
We may tell you about another one.
There we go. And tell my son, this has been like his most beneficial year. He's playing lacrosse, and he's just into becoming really independent. And this is like.
How did he get interested in lacrosse, which is English and British?
I know. It's the new sport, you know, okay. It's more exciting than football.
Oh, cool.
More dangerous. So when he told me about that, about had a heart attack, I'm like, about the sports, why lacrosse? But I'm like, honey, I want to support you. You know, you want to do what the kids love to, and that's another thing that keeps us going. And
well, if you want to hear more about the story and ask her more, because I'm sure you have more questions to ask, you can call Maurita Hughs at 256 area code 653-7404 or email maurita@yahoo.com. Maurita is spelled M-A-U-R-I-T-A-H. And is there anything urgent that we left out, Maurita?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. But she's ready to maybe come and speak to your group or for you. And I'm Bonnie Libhart, along with John O'Daniel Eubanks. Where did I get that other name? Who knows? Liz Hawk, all the people that are here, and we are glad you're here. And I'm Bonnie Libhart. Bless your heart for watching.